Look at your kitchen. You have a refrigerator humming quietly in the corner, packed tightly with thousands of instantly accessible calories. You have a microwave ready to heat your food in 60 seconds flat. You can open a plastic packet, warm it up, and consume an entire day's worth of calories in less than 10 minutes without breaking a single sweat. You take this completely for granted. You think eating is just something you casually do when you're bored, when you're stressed out, or when you're simply watching a screen to pass the time. But 2 million years ago, eating was not a leisure activity. It was not a hobby. It was the most exhausting, dangerous, and time-consuming physical job in the entire world.
Your earliest ancestors did not have fire. They didn't have stoves, ovens, or blenders. They ate absolutely everything entirely raw. Every leaf, every root, and every piece of scavenged meat had to be mechanically destroyed by their teeth. To understand exactly how terrifying this is, look at a modern chimpanzee or a massive silverback gorilla in the wild. A gorilla spends up to 8 full hours every single day doing absolutely nothing but chewing. 80% of their entire waking life is dedicated exclusively to aggressively grinding down tough leaves, raw roots, and uncooked meat just to survive until the sun goes down. Digestion is an incredibly expensive biological process. When you eat raw food, your body has to work overtime to break down the incredibly dense cellular walls and tough muscle fibers before it can absorb any real usable nutrients.
Think of a python that swallows an animal whole. It is practically immobilized for days, dedicating all of its physical energy strictly to the painful process of digesting raw tissue. That used to be us. If you were dropped into the wild today and forced to eat only raw, uncultivated food, you would slowly starve to death, regardless of how much physical volume you ate. Why? Because of your brain. Your brain is an absolute biological anomaly in the animal kingdom. It makes up only 2% of your entire body weight, but it aggressively steals 20% of your daily resting calories. An organ this massive, this complex, and this unbelievably greedy cannot possibly be fueled by chewing raw carrots and tough meat for 6 hours a day. There are simply not enough hours in a single solar day to physically chew the massive amount of calories required to run a high-functioning human brain. Humanity was biologically trapped. We had reached a hard, unforgiving evolutionary ceiling. Our brains desperately wanted to grow, but our bodies could not extract enough energy from raw nature to support them. And then, a random spark changed the biological trajectory of our entire species forever. Around 1.5 million years ago, a creature known as Homo erectus captured fire. They were the very first hominids to tame the wild flame and keep it alive. But they did not just use it for warmth or protection against predators. Someone, either by sheer accident or out of desperate, starving curiosity, dropped a piece of raw meat directly into the flames. The fire did something completely miraculous. It acted as a powerful external stomach. Heat began to forcibly pre-digest the food before it even entered their mouths. It melted the tough, fibrous connective tissues. It broke down the complex, impossible-to-digest carbohydrates. More importantly, it completely destroyed deadly, microscopic parasites and bacteria that would have otherwise killed our ancestors or stolen their hard-earned calories from the inside. Suddenly, a tough piece of food that used to take 3 excruciating hours to chew and slowly digest could be consumed and fully absorbed in just 15 short minutes. Cooking unlocked a massive, unprecedented flood of cheap, easily accessible calories. It was, without a doubt, the absolute greatest energy hack in the 4 billion year history of the animal kingdom. Because your ancestors no longer needed to aggressively grind raw meat and roots, The massive, heavy muscles attached to their jaws began to shrink rapidly over generations. With far less physical pressure constricting the skull from these heavy jaw muscles, the human cranium was finally free to physically expand outward. Your brain literally exploded in size, doubling and then tripling over the next million years, forming complex neural pathways that no other animal possessed. Simultaneously, your massive digestive tract began to shrink. You no longer needed a massive, heavy gut to slowly ferment raw, toxic plants for days on end, like a modern cow. Your body took all the vast metabolic energy that used to be completely wasted on extreme digestion and redirected it straight up into your rapidly growing cerebral cortex. But cooking did not just mutate our internal biology, it fundamentally mutated our psychology. It completely changed what it meant to be a conscious, living creature on this planet. Before fire, when the sun went down, early humans had to climb high into the trees and hide in absolute, terrifying silence, paralyzed by the fear of massive nocturnal predators hunting below. Fire aggressively pushed back the darkness. It literally extended the waking hours of the day. For the first time in planetary history, our ancestors sat safely on the ground, facing each other in a circle. They shared the food they had hunted and cooked. They looked directly into each other's eyes in the flickering light. They began to communicate, to share complex ideas, to tell stories, and to strategically plan for tomorrow. The campfire was the literal birthplace of human society. It was the original social network. It bound us together through the deeply psychological, intimate, and shared ritual of a warm, cooked meal. Even your unique ability to speak is a direct result of cooking. Without a massive, heavy ape jaw holding us back, our vocal cords had the structural freedom to evolve into the complex, precise system that allows you to talk today. But this incredible, unprecedented evolutionary leap came with a terrifying, permanent, hidden cost that you are paying for right now. We traded our absolute biological independence for our extreme intelligence. You are now classified as an obligate cook. If you lose access to fire, to stoves, to microwaves, and to modern supply chains, you will die. You are the absolute only animal on planet Earth that can no longer survive on the raw, unprocessed food provided by nature. Today, we have taken this to a dangerous extreme. We have created ultra-processed foods that are so pre-digested and so artificially broken down that your body absorbs their calories almost instantly, leading to modern diseases and obesity. Your body has become so incredibly fragile, so hyper-specialized, and so utterly dependent on artificially pre-digested calories that you are entirely at the mercy of your technology. You think you were the absolute master of the modern world. You think you conquered the food chain and tamed the wild, unforgiving wilderness. But what if you conquered it for a terrible price? What if you are now biologically and irrevocably enslaved to the very technology that made you human in the first place? The terrifying truth is, you are nothing more than a fragile biological prisoner to flame. You are a creature built entirely by fire, and without it, you are completely, hopelessly defenseless.